The other day, I was reading some criticisms about The Witcher 3. Apparently, to some, it feels old or clunky. For me, it only starts to feel off when you play it like an easy hack and slash. This game was built for focus, especially on higher difficulty settings, and I can't stress that enough. Prep before the fight, think like a Witcher, and suddenly it starts to make sense. The realization of, okay, now I get it. If you've ever bounced off The Witcher 3 thinking, pretty but a bit boring, I promise you this, you're one difficulty setting away from the game everyone wouldn't shut up about. This video is about proving to you why upping the difficulty to Death March is the ultimate way to play as Geralt. You might find it a bit frustrating at first, but push through, get the hang of the combat, use your tools, and once it clicks, it really clicks. Let's get started.
Go away, or I'll kill you.
For Witcher 3, Comfort Mode can be the quiet villain. On low or normal difficulty, you can ignore the bestiary, forget your oils, and still destroy a pack of deserters like you're late for dinner. It feels good for an hour, and then strangely empty. That's because the game's core fantasy, preparation, knowledge, and measured risk, gets quickly ignored. You're not solving monsters, you're mowing them down with relative ease. You aren't managing scarce tools, you're hoarding useless trinkets. And when nothing can hurt you, nothing can thrill you. That became my problem after a while. A Witcher story is built on consequences. If you don't study, you bleed. If you don't plan, you pay. The difficulty isn't an annoyance, it's the hook that grabs your attention and won't let go. When healing isn't free and stamina actually matters, you stop playing sloppy. You slow down, scan footprints, look for layers, and read the notice board like it's your paycheck. That shift from indestructible tourist to cautious contractor makes even a routine ghoul nest feel like a job with failure on the table. And that's when the magic happens. Every little win feels earned. So if comfort is the enemy, what does playing like a Witcher actually look like?
There's nothing behind me. I'm a Witcher, I'd have heard it. Just like I can hear your heart, which is pounding, like a liar's.
When we quickly break things down, a Witcher's more analyst than brawler. The first move isn't the swing, it's the scan. They don't rush, they research. Intel beats impulse. You study the contract, ask questions, and open the bestiary like a manual. The point isn't really trivia, it's more like targeting. Noonwraiths love Yrden. Necrophages melt under the right oil. Foglets punish greed and reward patience. When you know the weakness, a nasty fight becomes a manageable problem. The higher difficulties force this rhythm because health isn't automatically regenerating. You live on food, potions, decoctions, and discipline. Suddenly, Quen isn't a crutch, it's your insurance policy. You're not dodging for style points anymore. You're dodging because one sloppy miss means chewing stale bread for 30 seconds while your target aggressively attacks. This is where small choices snowball. Grabbing a general tree perk that extends food regeneration turns a crust of some dried fruit into a steady lifeline, and frees your brain to focus on spacing instead of micromanaging snacks. Keeping 2 or 3 universal potions on the belt, Swallow for recovery, Thunderbolt when you're confident, White Honey to reset when you overtox, keeps your toolkit nimble. And pre-crafting bombs you actually use, Grape Shot for nests, Dancing Star for swarms, means you solve problems with intent, not with panic rolls. The best part? This prep loop has fun momentum. The more you respect it, the smoother the fights get, the fewer bandages you burn, and the richer you feel, because you're not wasting time on failed heroics. Prec changes your odds, but it also changes the world you think you're walking through.
Fascinating story. Any chance you're nearing the end?
When everything starts to cost something, towns stop being backdrops. You bargain because you need coin for ingredients. You listen to terrified peasants because that offhand line, "It hates Celandine," might be the only reason you walk away when you remember to craft Golden Oriole. You don't casually pick fights with guards. You avoid unnecessary damage because replacing supplies hurts more than your Witcher ego. That shift alters how you move. You leave at dawn because visibility helps your stamina discipline. You approach caves like unknown variables, not for XP farming. Even small choices carry weight. Do you burn a bomb to clear a nest now, or note the location and come back stocked to avoid wasting materials? You start planning routes around herbalists, blacksmiths, and signposts. Contracts feel less like errands and more like little business trips where time, tools, and intel equal profit. And something subtle happens to the story. Because you're paying attention to details, you start catching subtext in conversations, reading letters you'd normally skip, and double-checking tracks instead of running waypoint to waypoint. The roleplay stops being, I am Geralt, and becomes, I have a job to do. You make fewer mistakes, not because you've memorized patterns, but because you respect the work. With that being said, respecting the work means fighting differently. And with that, the combat becomes a fun and addictive gameplay loop.
Listen here, lord-ass. You're gonna be satisfied with what you get, or I'll feed you to the ravens.
When it comes to the combat in The Witcher 3, it isn't all about inputs, it's about tempo. If you can protect your stamina bar, you can essentially protect your life. The loop is simple but strict. Apply the right oil, prime Quen, scan for information, dodge at the last responsible moment, punish once or twice, then break off before greed gets you clipped. Repeat with patience. The difference between a clean win and a potion-chugging disaster is usually one greedy extra hit that costs your whole flow. A few habits turn near misses into clean clears. Treat Quen like your seatbelt, and active shield like your emergency brake. It costs stamina, but can save a spiraling fight by turning incoming hits into healing. Rotate signs by need, not by habit. Yurden is a good trap for specters and slows the tempo. Axii in dialogue opens paths and saves coin. Ard on ledges is a free and entertaining physics kill. Use the map to your advantage. Bombs are problem solvers, not grenades for fireworks. For example, moon dust prevents shapeshifters from changing form. Northern wind freezes chaos and gives you a chance to take a breath. When it comes to the build side, pick a lane that matches how you naturally fight. If you're already spacing well and love aggression, cat school gear and a few critical nodes and fast attacks make you precise and dangerous. If you're the type to circle, bait, and cast, Griffin School makes the whole fight follow your rhythm. If you like to trade and counter, Bear School makes your mistakes hurt less and your retaliation meaner. The best build is the one that protects your rhythm, so pick your preference.
And I'll take your tongue if you don't shut up.
Now, if all of this sounds convincing and you're thinking about giving it another go, do yourself a favor and head into the settings and turn on the newer camera option that tucks in a little closer to Geralt. It's not just cinematic, it helps you read enemy tells and environmental hazards. Although, with that being said, I can understand why some would prefer a wider FOV, especially when fighting multiple enemies that are surrounding you, but in the end, I still prefer the tighter camera option. Experiment with what works best for you. Along with that, the small UI quality of life updates like pinning recipes, faster sign switching, and a cleaner map reduce the subtle annoyances that aren't part of the intended challenge. Use them and take advantage. Make sure to curate your inventory like a pro. Sell trash in batches, dismantle selectively for rare parts, and carry a short list of always useful ingredients so you don't overforage. Finally, treat the bestiary like a live document. Every time you learn something new about an enemy, an opening you noticed, a sign that worked better than expected, mentally add it to your personal wiki. You'll feel the climb from I hope this works to I know this works, and that confidence feeds right back into exploration.
I feel like one more lie'd be the last bitter drop in a chalice full of sorrow. And then I'd do something I would later regret.
If you still haven't tried it yet, start a new run on Blood and Broken Bones if you're unsure, or jump straight to Deathmarch if you're up to the challenge. Either way, play smart. In White Orchard, treat every contract like a mini exam. Before you swing, read the entry, craft one relevant oil, and bring 2 kinds of food for steady regen. Now from my experience, I died repeatedly at the very first battle in the game against the ghouls while playing on Deathmarch. Frustrating at first, but after a few tries, I got the rhythm down and was quickly able to understand the way Geralt moves. Dodge against most smaller enemies, roll against the bigger ones. Another key is to pick an early skill path that stabilizes you. A point in dialogue Axii pays for itself in avoided fights and extra coin. 1 or 2 points in Quen upgrades make your mistakes less dangerous. A couple of alchemy perks extend potions so you can spend more time playing and less time rummaging in your inventory. If a fight stonewalls you, resist the urge to brute force it. That's not a test of skill, it's a test of stubbornness. Walk away, do a different contract, return leveled up with the right prep, and watch a boss turn into a problem you solved. That feeling, coming back smarter, not just stronger, is the Witcher loop addiction. Nail that routine and you'll feel the game click into place.
We need to talk.
All of this had me thinking about CDPR's next Witcher game, and how they'll implement the gameplay systems. It wouldn't be surprising to see the next entry nudge the default difficulty slightly higher, or teach the prep loop more explicitly in the prologue. Too many newcomers never feel the intended gameplay and miss the magic. A tutorial that forces 1 or 2 do-it the Witcher way contracts, with clear feedback when you prep correctly, could convert skeptical players early. If the series puts a more agile protagonist front and center, expect stamina, positioning, and sign swapping to matter even more, with enemies that punish pattern spamming and reward on-the-fly adaptation. We might also see smarter AI leashes, fights that break when you try to stray too far, or environmental hazards that demand the right bomb or sign just to maintain footing. On the system side, it would be interesting to see contracts that include maybe some optional prep bounties. Bring the right oil, the right bomb, and a crafted lure to earn a higher payout and avoid a harder phase of the battle. Of course, none of this is confirmed. It's simply where the design seems to want to go if the goal is to make preparation not just viable, but irresistible. This, after all, is the Witcher way.
Challenge me again. Raise your hand, draw your sword, look at me the wrong way, and I'll kill you.
So, when you embrace the game's difficulty, it starts telling stories about you, not just to you. You'll remember the night you tracked a Leshen near a terrified village, prepped the right bomb, and won with 20 health and 0 pride left. You'll remember the contract you underprepared because you thought it would be easy, then limped through a swamp on stale bread, laughing at your own choices. You'll remember the moment you walked into a Wraith's lair with the wrong oil, got humbled, left, came back prepared, and beat it so clean you wanted to frame the loot screen. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. And if you're starting it tonight, tell me which contract humbled you first, because every Witcher has a story, and the best ones begin where planning is essential. I'll see you in the next one.